Hello, brothers and sisters. The title of the message today is Being Led by the Hand of the Lord, message number 9. After 1 month, one elder gave me an envelope. I asked, "What is this?" He said, "Pastor, it is money." The expression of appreciation. When Pastor left to Toronto, he gave it to me as an expression of appreciation. My standing point was I wanted to deliver a sermon even though I may pay money to them, not to me, but they paid me money. This also, God knew my situation so well and arranged everything. I had only 100,000 won with me, the key money for the rent room in Seoul. I borrowed money from my mother-in-law, 180,000 won, and got a rent house with 2 rooms in Chungju. It was 280,000 won. In those days, the salary in Campus Crusade was just 30,000 won. It was so difficult for me to pay back 180,000 won. I opened up the envelope, there was 30,000 won. So for 6 months, I was able to pay back to my mother-in-law that I borrowed for my rent house. No more or no less for the amount of money. I was so surprised about the accuracy of consideration of the Lord. In Israel, when they were in the wilderness, the food was collected, were not lacking anything, not exceed anything for their need. Exodus chapter 16, verse 18. Lord, let me enter into the world where nothing is lacking and nothing exists anymore. In Chungju district, there was no staff member yet. Professor Gu Hye-jung was namely the professor in charge. Students were gathered from Chungju Technical Junior College, 5-year system, Chungju High School, Chungju Girls High School, Chungju Commercial Girls High School, and some other high school students. The first student whom I met was Brother Tukho Jang. He was a leader of Chungju Technical Junior College. Leader from Chungju High School was Jung In Nam. The leader of the Industrial High School was Hee Soo Han. The leader of the Commercial Girls High School was Eun Mi Kim. Chungju Girls High School was leader was Yoon Sun Chung. They were leaders of the Chungju branch, and they all moved to Daegu later on. After I moved down to Daegu, the brother Tukho Jang gathered students so well, and he was a good leader. He worked so hard as if he was an assistant staff member. After I left Chungju, he led the students so well. In fact, he acted as a staff member. I was just a Bible teacher. Brother Tukho Jang took care of all other things willingly. Thus, I did not have any difficulties. After I was assigned to Chungju branch, I went to Seoul as there was conference in Campus Crusade headquarters. Each district leaders gathered together, and there were about 80 to 90 staff members. I reported there are about 12 students in Chungju district. But Reverend Kim said, "Don't you think something went wrong in Chungju district?" I was so embarrassed and flushed. I was the only one who heard the blaming from Reverend Kim. I could not lift up my head. I was looking for a rat hole to hide in my mind. That was a state of my mind. I had never heard that kind of scolding in my life before. I did not know what to do. I came out of that place with a shameful feeling. 2 of staff members gave me a word of comforting. Mr. Anshin Kim said, "Don't be distressed. Our way of reporting have some problems." And Mr. Soo-gil Yoon said, "Don't be discouraged. I received a little bit of comfort. Later, I heard we should not report too frank in Campus Crusade. Reverend Kim did not say anything. He did not rebuke anymore. He was that type of person. He insisted if anyone reports in a public place in a negative way, other people will follow his example. So do not report in a negative way. If anyone reports in a positive way, it'll give other positive influence, but negative report will induce other people in a negative way. That's why staff members covered up negative things and just reported positive things. In fact, I thought if we report the things as it is, frankly, we must accept constructive criticism. Only then things will go right. So the new atmosphere was somewhat strange to me. But as I think it over and work directly, Reverend Kim's thought was right. That's right, negative things trigger negative things. Positive things trigger positive things. In the hen cage, one chicken scratch, every chicken scratches. If one chicken crows, all other chicken crow also. If the one next to me yawns, I begin to yawn. It's a strange thing. Positive things and negative things are half and half anyway. Who goes first? If positive people stand first, positive people will push aside negative people, become alive and spread. The positive group will get the final victory. This lesson led me onward the rest of my life. And fold the negative situation up clearly and only march forward looking at the positive side only. After the conference, I came down to Cheongju. I thought I have to destroy the walls of 12 students. I thought I have to decide whether I could remain in Campus Crusade or leave Campus Crusade with this issue. Thus, I decided to pray all night with students. Many students gathered together. After that prayer meeting, Cheongju CCC got the vitality and the number of members were increased. One time there were 200 students. Leaders contributed to the increasing of the membership. Brother Tako Jung, Chung In Nam, Hee Soo Han, Eun Mei Kim, and other leaders. Those students who gathered together scattered after the general meeting, and they took part in Bible study at a student center. These kind of movements brought us very encouraging effect and demonstrative effect for the Christianization movement of Korea through Explo 74. Even though it may be just one-time crusade, we can plant a vision toward Christianization movement of Korea and provide opportunity to take part in for young students. Subtitle number 4, The Vision of Explo 74. God's calling that was given to Reverend Jun Gong Kim was the vision of Explo 74, which will become the flower of the movement of Campus Crusade of Korea. May God's calling toward me become so clear and overflow. I received calling from God and studied theology, and I thought God's calling is about my personal ministry. But after listening to Reverend Kim's words, and I got the confidence that this movement can save Korean people and expand gospel in an excellent way. The history of Korean people are entangled with stubbornness, bad and dirty temper, conflict between left wing and right wing, Eastern District people and Western District people, school background, district background, family background, and so on. Reverend Kim insisted, in order to solve these complicated problems, we have to be grafted together with the gospel of Jesus. Reverend Kim was asking, with this is the only solution. What else can we refine the temper of Korean people and renew Korean people from the root? Is there anything else that we can achieve the goal apart from the Christianization movement of Korea? I was completely fascinated by the vision of Reverend Chun Gon Kim. I was proud of myself to take part in such a clear and pure gospel movement. I used to be laughing alone as I look back at my past fighting against leadership in our denomination for 4 years, risking my life. What a ridiculous and funny thing it was. Wow, I was just like a frog who was swimming in the deep well water. The frog was thinking that the narrow well water was its own universe. What a funny thing it is. Hung-bu was a figure who appeared in a Korean legendary story. He was so poor that 12 people, including his children, were living one room. Even though he may try to make a new interior design, would it be comfortable? If dogs fight among themselves because of one cow bone, in a fierce way, they will get just scars all over. I had a feeling as if that frog was proud of himself at first, but accidentally, by mistake, it could come out of the well water by the water scoop with a rope. It could experience the new world outside in a mysterious way. Everything else in the past flew away like a piece of paper through tornado. Only the fourth spiritual law is enough because it is the condensed truth. As Reverend Kim said, I thought all the complicated knowledges are not necessary, and those theological knowledges give us headache. Four spiritual laws was enough to save people. Reverend Kim's Christianization Christianization strategy was an amazing one. If we share gospel with four spiritual laws and train 10 members, and they again share gospel and make 100 members, and if we train disciples, they will multiply in a geometric progression, and 30 million Korean Christianization movement can be successful so soon. Explo 74 movement was training 300,000 key members for 1 week, and they will soon become 3 million people, and then they will become 30 million people soon. We experience this in reality. One key member can get 10 people soon. By listening to this principle, who can think of anything else? I went down to Chungju with inflated heart because of the Explo 74 movement. I thought nothing was difficult. If you do it, you can do it. If you do your best, you can experience the good result. Yes, it is very true. 30 million people can believe in Jesus. Wow. It was right in front of our eyes. As if fully ripened grains are waiting to be harvested, the whole world seemed to be waiting for the farmer who will harvest from the farm. I went down to Chungju for the student movement, but it was not easy as I thought. For 2 years while I was staying in Chungju area, I did not go outside for my own personal thing. There was the famous Suwon-bo hot spring very close, but I have never been there. I was not interested in anything else. As time flowed, 1974 approached finally. I started to visit churches. As I visited several churches, I found out with my physical strength, I could not cover that huge area. As they were in the countryside, visiting one church took the whole day. I gave up personal visiting churches. I visited a nearby church and trained enthusiastic members and trained them for future gospel leaders and encouraged them to become leaders for Explo 74. Of course, the environment was much better than the wilderness, but the situation was almost the same. in order to mobilize 300,000 leaders, first of all, we needed 10,000 leaders, but getting 10,000 leaders was so difficult. For that 25 years of history of Campus Crusade, they should have gotten that many leaders already. But as they could not do that, they had to hurriedly mobilize leaders in a short period of time. During that time, Lord helped me with His great grace. Reverend Han Ok Kim, who returned to Korea from Canada, accepted the position of preparation committee chairman because of the relationship with me. Even though what he learned in the past and the Campus Crusade movement were totally different, and it became a great power to me. Even though the fact that he did not directly help me, but Chungju area is a Methodist church area, and Chungju Methodist Church is the mother church, central church, and head pastor became the chairman of the preparation committee of Explo 74. So every Methodist church member thought as if Explo 74 is the Methodist movement. Even though I had no strength, in spite of the fact we in Chungju area could mobilize 3,000 people. What an amazing thing it is. It was nothing to do with my own power and activities, but again, Jehovah God, who knew my situation and reality, helped me and supported me in order to reveal the fact I am that I am. I am Jehovah who moves people. I'll show you that you can mobilize 3,000 people. That's why God sent me to Chungju instead of Uijeongbu City. I learned that later, according to the human plan, I wanted to go to nearest city from Seoul, Uijeongbu City, but Jehovah's plan was in Chungju, where my wife was living, Reverend Han Ok Kim was living. The staff members who went to Uijeongbu City had a hard time and could not mobilize that many people. Suppose I went to Uijeongbu City, I could not get the amazing result, only poorest result. Lord knew it in advance. He used other people to send me Chungju. I wanted to turn thanks and bow down to the Lord, who had an unexpected and wise arrangement. Jehovah God became my shepherd. I did not lack anything. For His name's sake, He led me to the right way. I have nothing to be proud of myself. I only became proud of my Lord. In the dark path, He kept me so safe using His stick. Sometimes a word the prized before my enemies who mocked at me. And He made my cup overflow. Surely goodness and love will follow me all the days of my life. And I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Hallelujah. Psalm chapter 23. Explo 74 was the Christian evangelical movement, never existed in history, surpassing everything in Korean history. In order to receive evangelical training, 300,000 people must be gathered together. At night, crusade, over 1.5 million people gathered together in Seoul, packing the Yeouido Plaza. As it was the first event in history, they made many mistakes and difficult things. In order to prepare food for 300,000 people, that's not easy. They made a steam pot, but it was not operated properly. It was time to make so many people hungry. They purchased old bread and rolls in Seoul area and passed one meal. But next meal, the pot was not functioning yet. So people could not have rice for one day. So many people began to complain and stirred up. At first, they sang together. We received calling from God. Wherever you want us to go, we'll go there. They were proud of themselves as they were able to take part in as warriors of gospel. They could not have rice. They had just rolls, salted and sweetened turnip, and salted shrimp from Incheon. They felt restless and began to protest. Those participants from Chungbuk area, along with 3 staff members, Chungju, Cheongju, and Okcheon area, people stayed at certain schools. Thousands of people gathered at one place. They were grumbling. We didn't know what to do. I instantly remember the things that happened during the time of Exodus. That's why they tried to throw stones at Moses. Of course, the environment was much better than the wilderness, but the situation was almost the same. People can pray alone, fasting for 40 days willingly. But if other people force them to suffer, they begin to complain. Rage and violence will burst out. If some people begin to complain, it will spread quickly like the epidemic disease and stir up a great crowd. That's why people of Israel who came out of the wilderness began to complain against Moses and tried to stone at him and complain against God. But Moses said, "You did not show enmity against me, but he showed enmity against Jehovah God." That's right. Whatever the motivation and situation may be, all the complaining and resentment came out from the temperaments of rebellion against God. Their reasons are all right, but they complained against Moses. "We were having right food in Egypt, but why did you pull us out from the Egypt to the wilderness and make us die of hunger?" Their complaining and resentment against Moses was natural because they were hungry, thirsty, their future looked so dark. In spite of the fact, Moses said, "You are not complaining against me, but you are complaining against Jehovah God." Why did Moses say that? Moses was looking at the rebellious temperaments and corrupted men in their behavior. Their temperaments were expressed outwardly because of their reality. Their temperaments were just like the volcano which is waiting to be erupted. We never know when and under what kind of condition they will be erupted. About the rational logic about their complaining and grumbling can be discussed among people, but God never listens or accepts. The creatures can never start complaining and grumbling before the Creator. Creator gave everything to creatures in His purpose already, and He only waits for the glory to return. But Adam was tempted by Satan while he was complaining, and Israel worshipped idols while they were complaining also. God never gave any tragedy and never made them tragic. All the tragedy were made by people. Even though Israel received calling from God and came out from Egypt, as the life of Egypt was so painful, they came out to seek for the better life. Those people who took part in the training program of Explo 74, even though there may be some difficulties, they should have not complained or grumbled, but in order to overcome difficulties, they should have worked together and help each other. If you look at those people who are complaining and grumbling, they seem to be people looking for, is there anything that we can complain about? Is there anything that we can grumble about? Those people, whenever the opportunity comes, their temperaments are revealed. But if the situation gets better, they again sang, "We receive calling from God. Wherever you want us to go, we'll go there," and took part in the training programs. In human society, people need leaders and those dedicated people who have the spirit of faithful servant of God. The administration people worked so hard without sleeping, and as a result, they could cook rice for 300,000 people at once. Such kind of thing never happened before. Those people who were complaining and grumbling felt ashamed and tried to hide themselves. And those people who worked hard, they praised God in their great joy. Those who sow in tears will reap with songs of joy, but for those who complained and grumbled, only shamefulness and sadness will be remained. As for me, the vision of Explo 74 was so clear, even in those restless shouting and complaints, I don't remember anything about what I did. I ate rolls, salted and sweetened turnip, salted shrimp, and slept at the same place. I did not have any complaints, grumbling, and about anything. I only prayed to God, may the seed of Jesus would be sown in people, green shoot of Jesus would spread all over. Explo 74 was finished successfully. Before the sun set, the Reverend King came to visit staff members and said, shall we start another Explo 74 again? He gave us short, comforting words and left. He said, shall we start another Explo 74? He meant he knew all the difficult situation and difficult things so well. Thank you. Hallelujah. May God bless every one of you. Thank you again. Thank you. Thank you.